Hey, let's play some feisty chess. I'm going to play e4 here against Practice Pawn on LeeChess.org. We got 10-5. He's a higher rated player. Let's give him the Morra Gambit. See what happens. Making a Morra Gambit playlist. It's getting quite lengthy. Okay, declining with knight f6. I think this is one of the better ways to decline. Let's see if we can get him to take the gambit with knight f3. Actually, he can't take the gambit just now. He'll probably play e6 here, protecting the knight. Or d6, okay. Okay, I think I can play bishop c4 here, knight b6, bishop b3. Let's do that. You know, we play a gambit to play a gambit. There's also queen e2 here, giving up the bishop pair. I'm going to hang on to that bishop. It's my best piece, actually, as of now. Okay, I'm just planning a knight recapture on e5. I could just castle if d takes e5. Okay. Bishop f4 makes sense here. Bishop f4, knight takes, pawn takes. Yeah. Right. I can get my pieces out better than he can get his pieces out right now. Now I'm actually threatening to take on d6 and double those pawns. It's not much of a threat, I suppose. This is one of those declining lines. I should really know better. Or maybe I should just take the pawn back and take the big center after knight d5. That's, of course, perfectly fine, possibly the best. But when players play knight f6 to decline the gambit, they want to go into an Alapin transposition with c3 by white and then c takes on d4. They want you to take on d4 so they can play their Alapin lines. And frankly, Practice Pawn probably knows the Alapin better than me. He probably encounters it more than I do because knight f6 against my Sicilian is pretty rare. Okay. Whereas he probably plays this against both the Morra and the Alapin itself. Okay, he's just cost himself a move by going d5. I mean, c takes d4 makes a lot of sense now. C takes d4, probably bishop. Do I need to take time out to play h3? Seems like an awfully slow way to play when you're gambiting a pawn. What if castles bishop g4, h3 then, and then take on d5? Sorry, take on f3. I can take with the queen. then after e6, it doesn't look like I'm doing a whole lot. I'm looking at h3 or taking on d4. Let's go h3. I really don't want that knight pinned. If he goes bishop f5 and then blocks that bishop in with a later e6. If he goes bishop f5, I might just take on... I'm threatening to take on d4, and I've got material equality and just a really expansive position in the center. His knight isn't very happy on b6. Good ideas like this, hitting that knight. Yeah, and just a permanent wedge pawn on e5, supported on d4, with lots of kingside attack potential. My bishop can easily come here, operate like a Greek gift type bishop, possible sacks on h7. I'm just dreaming a little bit about the position here. And if he takes on c3, well, he's won the pawn that he never wanted to begin with. And I'm hitting d5. He probably needs to play e6 and shut that bishop in. Okay. I'll go ahead and take this on the center and just enjoy my big center here. I suppose a knight to c4 would be a little annoying. But queen e2 seems to cover things, now that my knight is securely defending d4. Okay. If he wants to... Yeah, let's just play this knight out. If he wants to trade here, I'm happy because my pawn will open up my rook on the a file, and it'll also shut down this knight. I can't kick the knight from b6, but what's the knight really doing on b6 if the pawn is on b3, prohibiting any entry? So here we go. I can also take with the queen. I'm going to take like this. Just like how that shuts the knight down. I'm not afraid of these doubled pawns. White does have the two bishops. Sorry, black does. Okay, let's just get castled. We do have a time advantage here. That's unusual. Not huge, but significant. It's over a minute. Where's that bishop going? If it goes anywhere but e7, I think I'll play bishop g5. I don't know. That's just a wild idea. Okay, it does go to e7. Let's get the queen off the first rank. Probably d2 is where it wants to be. Okay, if black castles, I need a plan. Oh, okay. Huh. Um, let's just put a rook on an open file. I don't need to play this like I'm down a pawn because I'm not. Just down the bishops, bishop pair. So go ahead and castle. H6 does seem to weaken things a bit. I've got sacrifice possibilities on H6 now with that queen and bishop battery. Black will need to take time out to play A6 himself if he wants to move a rook here. Move his queen's rook. Still got G4 ideas too. If he castles queenside, that might be more powerful to play G4 and then follow up with G5. Although he could shut things down. It's not a forcing line. He could go H5. So G4, bishop H7, G5, H5. Then I can go H4 and he's pretty cramped on the king side. Where do my knights want to be? Knight H2 to G4 is another idea. Putting another piece on H6. Ooh, okay. Black's going on the offensive. So bishop back to E3. Or I could play G4 myself here, preventing him from playing G4. But that opens up the G file, and my king is on the G file. G4, G takes F4, G takes F5, Rook G8 check doesn't look fun. Maybe it's not so bad. Is my king really less safe than his there? He gets rid of his bishop pair. He could also just slide that bishop back. Let's keep our pawns. Keep our king safe. With black getting kind of low on time, if he's going to play this risky way without castling, let's let them do that. I'll plan on capturing G4 if he pushes. Yeah, need to do it. Okay, I think knight H7 makes sense. He's going to meet that with H5. Does bishop takes H6 make sense here? I mean, that gets a pawn. That nets me a pawn. Does it really, though? Because he has... No, he doesn't have any piece on D4. Okay. Bishop takes H6, and if he wants to trade off the light square bishop, I'm happy to do that. My king does seem to have safety. If I get G takes, I can run my king to F1, E2. How bad can that be? His king is stuck in the center. That's at least for the time being, and my rooks can easily come to the G and H files. So let's take on H6. His queen can't easily join the king side because of that bishop. Yeah, let's do it. Not afraid of no ghosts. We'll just pre-move this, in fact. All he has is one rook to play with over there. His knight and his other rook aren't playing in the game. Okay. Now we are up a pawn, but can't make much of a passer out of it. This doubled f pawn. But I think my king can be safer because of that pawn. The king will be nice and cozy on e2. Probably should just start running this king right now. Is he making any threats here? He's pinning that knight. But I don't think that's too important right now. It's well guarded. And he's got his queen ready to fire on this side of the board. But I can play bishop g5. He gets a check in, but honestly, what else? What else does he get in here? There's no point in going queen h1, right? Now he can't castle queenside. I don't think castling kingside looks very good for him. If I had played back a move, if I played bishop g5 here, he has rook g8. But I guess f4, it becomes a very different game. But I like the looks of this better. Really making my opponent think. Everything's defended except for this f1, except for this f3 pawn. Well, both these doubled pawns. But like I said, the king's coming to e2, and it seems like happy times at that point. Okay, we're going to play this. He's got maybe knight d7 as an idea. Okay. Let's just keep that bishop there so he can't castle. He probably can't castle anyway. This looks good. We don't need to chase that queen away. She's not very good right there on the H file. Okay. Now I got maybe... I'm not queen d3 yet. Where's my bishop want to go? I think he wants to go here. Now this knight can't come to d7. I would welcome a rook trade. I would have to accept one now. Let's just pre-move this. But my plan is to play a rook to g5. Okay, that's an interesting idea. Not sure what the idea is. Yeah, let's do this. And if he doesn't take the rook, I'll just double, get the other rook on g1. Probably. Practice pawn will be running on increment soon. Okay. Definitely like the looks of doubling these rooks. Can I apply a little more pressure first? Ooh, I could pin this rook and threaten this check with queen d3. Looks good. It also unpins my knight, for what that's worth. Probably he plays a6, but then I pile up on the pinned rook. Yeah, this looks like it gives black a lot to think about, which is exactly what I want to do right now. The rook is the only loose piece. My rooks are both loose, but I can coordinate them easily. No, that rook isn't loose. The bishop protects it. Okay. Now I'm piling up on this rook. Then it looks like we're heading for a lot of trades, doesn't it? There's also... Let's just do it. Okay, his rook is still pinned. How do I exploit that? That knight of mine isn't doing a whole lot. We can come to d1, e3. Looks kind of a dead end. Let's see if we can get a knight trade. Even up these pawns. No. He allows this check. At which point I gotta guess he'll take, and this can open up his king. Keep the clock ticking. So the rook is still pinned. Well, the rook's not really pinned as long as my other rook is here, is it? Don't like the looks of the endgame here. Oof. Alright, I've got to simplify. I don't know what else to do here. Find myself in the same place as my opponent. Now that rook is pretty well pinned. I feel like I've got the initiative in terms of things here. I'm gonna... Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. I'm pinning that rook. Okay. Let's do this. Got to check here, but I don't see any good follow-ups. How does he stop my check on d6? Maybe we go perpetual here. Actually, I've got a third check up here on d8, don't I? But I don't think I'm going to be getting to any of them. I'm not willing to go into an ending. Let's see if I can get him to play a move like rook g1 here. No, it's a draw. A little trap at the end here. If rook g1, I do have a force mate that I was able to figure out. Queen here, king comes here, and then queen d6 is a little checkmate. So he had to keep the checks up. Okay, draw, slightly higher rated player. I feel like we had a nice time advantage, and black was lucky to come out of that with a draw. Let's look at the game. Analysis board. So you see here, knight f6 is the second most common move. So it's among masters, and we are on the masters games here. Among masters, this is the most popular way to decline the gambit. d3 and d5 being the next ones up. So f6 forces e5. Really, there's no other move that really makes sense. And knight f3, d6. Oh, I can go queen takes here. Oh yeah, I should have considered that. The idea being, if knight c6, you're going to pin that knight with bishop e5, give up the dark square bishop. I mean, if you're willing to give up a pawn, why not give up the bishop pair? Bishop c4, not a very played move here. The computer probably doesn't like it. Oh, the computer doesn't care. I don't have the computer on here. Bishop b3. Takes d6. Right. So yeah, that's I think some of the book knowledge I must have forgotten. And then d5. So it slows black down a little bit, but since the center is closed and that move closes the center, it doesn't matter so much that he took 2 turns to play that move. Knight takes d4. Okay. Oh, he doesn't like the h3 idea. Kind of gives black time to catch up. The computer's going back and forth between both of the recaptures. I like this. It's shut knight down for so long. Okay, we've got an even game here. Ooh, it really likes white. Knight h2. Knight h2, I was thinking h5. Let's look at this. I missed my chance here. Knight h2. I was thinking this. And then knight e5. Huh? Right. That's a nice little threat from the rook being on the c file. And he can't play a rook when he can, but a6, he just has to take it. The best he has is to just prod the knight and get the fork over with. And this just leads to knight takes. Okay, well, I had things going on the queen side that I should have continued with. Knight b5, very thematic in the Morra. So I should notice this. Maybe with a little more time I would have noticed that. Really, this is one of those moments where I only looked at one or two moves. I did look at knight h2, but I didn't look at what that tempo would allow me to achieve, because this obviously wins a key tempo, knight h2. So whether he goes here or it's with h5, the move is not here, opening up things on the king side where my king lives, but here, since he hasn't gotten h6 in yet. It seems obvious right now, doesn't it? But you miss these things over the board. But yeah, in all sorts of lines in the Morra, if they haven't played a6, like black has to take time out to play a6 in a lot of lines to stop knight b5, or sometimes bishop b5. So it's just yet another pawn move that black often has to make in the Morra that gets them further behind in development. And I should have exploited that here. He has not played a6, so I blew my advantage here. It's very instructive. Going for a pawn. I mean, I envisaged that my king would be pretty safe here, and lo and behold, I am. I have another big advantage. Bishop f6 right here. Okay, I've got a two-pawn advantage. Queen d3. It likes that move. Likes it here as well. Wow, I've got a big advantage. Yeah, all those rooks. Knight a2. Where's that knight going? It's hitting the bishop. Huh. Oh, what did I miss? Just bring that rook back over to c1. I went too quickly for that simplification. Rook to c1. Oh, I'm still winning here. But the plan is just what, queen to c2, and how does he stop anything on the c file? It's very simple. Wow. Use the open files. I mean, the c file is right there. His king is right next to it. My bishop is bearing down on his king. Let's look at the line it gives. Bishop e7. Queen c2. We even are able to maintain this pin while threatening queen c7. Rook to d8. Just to give the king something to hide behind here. Now knight to b6. Bishop takes here. E takes. We're giving up a rook. But not really. We've got a mate. We've got a mate threat. Oh, that's a beautiful mate. Look at this. What might have been? What might have been? I should have kept the time pressure up and just kept the pieces on the board. I mean, I had that free rook. I was a little too concerned about these ghosts of this rook taking here and then this rook taking there, but you know, that queen is still stuck. The rook is still stuck in a pin. So, okay. Instead, I mean, even worse. We got a draw. We sacked an exchange in a clever little way here. I was trying to provoke him to play d4 for a long time, so I'd had this idea of sacking an exchange. Yeah. Ooh, black has an advantage here. He never found a way to exploit it. Well, no. The computer might not just be reading the perpetual very well. King f4. It always wants the checks. Queen e1, king f4, rook g8. Okay, getting rid of the mate threat. Queen d6, he goes here. I have no checks. Let's go back, queen d4, huh? And then he tries to make progress with something like b4. Huh. Yeah, could have made my life difficult, but I think we were both kind of looking for a drop repetition with that kind of time trouble. Okay. Missed some great opportunities here. So I'm not happy. I'm not happy. I mean, I play the Morra for the beauty of it, and to see something like this, let's get back to this, the beauty here. To see that something like this was possible, instead of making these rook trades and the knight trade, to see rook c1 here with this line. I mean, I might not have found this. Look at that rook hanging. He takes the rook, and then I give up the queen, and that's an immortal finish right there. A clean checkmate with a knight, a rook, and a pawn. Arabian-style mate from the days of old. So a draw. I can't be too upset here. A draw against a stronger player. But I had a big time advantage. I had a nice positional advantage. And I had some possibility for some beautiful fireworks. So I am disappointed. But I'm going to stay feisty, and I hope you do too. Take care, folks. See you next time.